see this great mystery revealed that they know he had in mind. He said, no, you're just going to have to wait. You're just going to have to wait. Kind of like a surprise birthday gift or something. Well, but see, all that's right there in that word. So let me go back to Psalm 119:18. Psalm 119 is a whole study in and of itself, which we could get to another day if you wanted to. But we won't get to it today. But I want to show you this one thing in this verse. David wrote this, and he says, this is Gimel Lamed. Now the interesting thing about Gimel Lamed, they're inverse letters of each other. That's the letters G and L. G and L. Have you ever heard of galut? Where have you ever heard of the word galut?
Galut.
Huh?
Galut.
He-galut?
Galut.
Revelation.
I'm still not hearing what you're saying.
Galut.
He-galut.
Heat.
Galut.
Book of Revelation.
Galut. Oh, the word heat galut means the book of Revelation?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm unfamiliar with that word. There was another word that I was looking at for the... See, to reveal something, but here, does anybody watch cartoons like 30 years ago and somebody said, you big galut?
Yeah.
Okay, Mel Blanc was a Jewish guy, and to call somebody a big galut is to call him a stupid, ignorant fool. Now, the galut, the word ut, ut at the end is plural, like yod mem, like nephilim. Here's the word nephal, but this is ut, which is, you got masculine and feminine endings. They're both plural. So ut is a plural ending of Gaul. Gaul, that's like Spain and France and that area in Europe, right? Gaul. It's like Galatians, they're related words. Well, who became the galut, the foolish, ignorant, stupid ones? It was Israel, who turned its back on the covenant, forsook it, and then got overwhelmed by its enemies, as per the terms of contract by Yahweh. It got kicked out of the land and dispersed across the face of the earth, mostly by going north up through the Caucasus Mountains and back around through Europe, and became known as the barbarians in conflict with Rome, who became known as the Celts. This is another little tangent. If you look at the word Celt, which is C-E-L-T, well, the C is the same letter G. It's the third letter, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, A, B, C. There's no vowels used in Hebrew. The modern Hebrew puts dots underneath, dots and lines, but the Paleo doesn't regard that. So the phonetic of the E, if it's not there, C-L-T, is the same as galut, Gimel Lamed Tav, or Gimel Lamed Vav Tav. So the Celts were the people who were the people of Israel, who were stupid, ignorant fools for throwing away the covenant, got kicked out of the land, became known as the barbarian idiots who were uncivilized, inhabited these places where they were dispersed. And interestingly enough, about the Nordic art design of the pattern of their embroideries and their jewelry is that this knot, right? It's a circle of knots that are woven, no beginning and no end. That's the curse that Yahweh put on Israel. You will forget where you live, where you came from, where you're going. You will wander in circles, always being ran, people chasing you, always despised, like a knot that you can never unravel until the day that you come back to the covenant. That's how you break the knot. But see, it's embedded, and they think, wow, we got this great art, we got this Celtic knot, and their disdain has become their pride because they have forgotten who they were and where they came from. But all this stuff is embedded into the, you might say, the subconscious of humanity and in the history of the peoples of the earth. So here, this is the word Gaul. But it's also a revolving door. It's a door that just spins around and around and around. It's like a rock that rolls. It's something that rolls. So the word galut are those that were sent out, and like their imagery of their knot that's in a circle that's tangled up, it just keeps rolling, it keeps rolling. Rolling across the face of the earth like a dust in the wind, according to the curse of Yahweh upon Israel, that they can't come back until the time, that's in Daniel, which we'll get to in a little bit. So here what David said is, Gal, ayini, well this word ayin, ayin yod nun, is the name of this letter right here, which is an ayin, which is literally an eyeball. And as an eyeball, it means to understand, to see, perceive, behold, think, weigh, measure, evaluate, look at, and it's drawn by a picture of scales. And the yod at the end basically means my. So here there's something about to this revolving door in the word. There's something about my eye. And then here's a word that's Vav, Aleph, Bet, Yod, Tet, Hey. I'll show you how to use this dictionary in a minute. We'll get back in a minute to that word. This word here, nephalot, is this main word we're looking at. And then the last word is mem, tor, teka. Now this is kind of going a little fast for you, but what I'm going to tell you is just a few basic ways that the letters are prefixes and suffixes. Mem, like a womb, is a place that you're from. Like mem and nun are related. Nun lives in the mem and it jumps out. Mem is where you're birthed, where you're at. And mem as a prefix is a place. Kaf at the end literally means you or yours, where yod at the end basically is mine. Basically, because some modern grammar has, sometimes it means he or they and this and that, but I basically am just looking at the simple meaning. The kaf, the open hand. Here, this is yours. And if you go to receive it, you put out your open hand. And so what's yours? So you have this open-handed thing with the letter kaf. But when it's my, the letter yod is a hand that works. And my hand is an extension of my thoughts. If I want this, I'm going to reach my hand out and get it. If I'm going to point, if I'm indicating something, I'm going to reach my hand out and point. The hand is an extension, exterior of the interior consciousness. So the letter yod has to do with working and expression of the inner made evident. The letter hey, when there's a vav at the end of the word, this would be neflo. That's neflot. A vav at the end is a masculine ending, meaning his or he. The hey at the end, that which reveals or that which is expressed, is the feminine ending. It doesn't necessarily mean male and female, though it can. It's just the masculine and feminine. So, hear what he's saying. Now I'm going to show you the use of this dictionary to address this particular matter. If you look up the word gimel lamed, it means a revolving door or a lever. It's a basin or a bowl. It's a wave, a billow, or a fountain. So picture anything that rolls. You see, so if somebody said, well, gimel lamed means, well, it's a lever. You could say, it's a lever. So here now David is asking Yahweh to apply a lever to his eyes. Apply a lever, apply a basin, apply a bowl. What else does gimel lamed mean? A revolving door? Gimel lamed aleph yod is a detector. Gimel lamed aleph yod is also an uncovered place. Now I happen to know that in the Stones Tanakh it says, uncover my eyes. But the word here is not gimel. It is gimel lamed. He's saying the definition is if it was gimel lamed aleph yod. Well, I found that in Strong's Concordance, you go look at a verse, and they will sometimes give you a different word as to what a word means. And if you're trying to do a word study, you're going, those are two different words. Now, I happen to know, because I've been looking through this dictionary, that aleph yod is the word for an island, like where? It also means where? Well, if you're a ship out at sea, and you go, where's that island? And you just keep sailing around and around. And looking all over it. It's a pretty obscure thing. So what they've done here, by showing you that the gimel lamed aleph yod is to detect or to uncover something. If you take off that and say, well, what is left with the gimel lamed? Well, if it's a lever or a revolving door, David is saying, change something, spin it around. Lever, affect a force. Gimel is the letter with a foot, which is to put something in action, and the lamed is a push or a pull of a shepherd's staff. So he's saying, will you please push the shepherd's staff like a lever to spin the door and make something happen regarding my eyes. But the eye is not just the physical eyeball. If you look in here on the word ayin, it's to see, to comprehend, to be able to evaluate and have revealed to you and actually perceive at a depth. Now you can take it to various depths, but the same symbol for an ayin, you might say, is scales, where two things are weighed in the balance, which has to do with the festival of Yom Kippur. which has to do with like Judgment Day, what has to do with the fifth day with fish in the sea and birds in the air, you might see tipping the scales, heaven and hell, these themes, these concepts. So what he's saying is, my eye, and then there's this noon, so that's an action, so that my eyes will actually do the work of understanding. Please, Yahweh, do something to turn the door around, force the lever, push the shepherd's staff in the direction to cause my eye to now have the ability to perceive. And here's this word, aleph, bet, yod, tet, hey. Now, bet is a full basket. Yod is a hen that works. Bet is a house or a body, or it means in. So if you look here under bet, yod, tet, it doesn't really have a word that you can look up. It goes bet, yod, tet, vav, dalet, bet, yod, tet, vav, mem, noon, bet, yod, tet, noon, yod, kuf, but there's no bet, yod, tet. So now what are you supposed to do? Well, you learn that yods and vavs are kind of like throwing wild cards into a hand if you're playing poker. They don't really change, sometimes they do, but generally they don't change the meaning of the word. They change somehow the force of it or the application of it. So you could look at bet tet. So if you look at bet tet, it says, well, there's no regular bet tet. There's bet tet aleph. Here's a bet yod tet hey. So you learn that an aleph at the end may or may not change it. A hey is to express it. But if you look at bet tet aleph, you're pretty close. And it means to utter or express. It means to articulate, pronounce. Then if you look at bet tet aleph vav noon, it's a journal or a newspaper. Bet tet hey is to speak rashly, to utter, to articulate, pronounce a phrase or an idiom. So what I'm saying is you look in this dictionary, and if you can't find the word you're looking for, you can't do this really with Strong's. Kind of, but it doesn't really work. Brad Scott likes looking at the lexicon. Brown Driver Briggs is a great lexicon. But this book, it's all listed. You can come and take a look at it. I brought a few in case anybody wants to buy them.
What is it? What is that?
Okay, excuse me. It's